Hello, welcome to Shad Life, where I have over 40 years of BMX and mountain biking experience, and I like to share it with you awesome people. Today, we're going to talk about some crazy bikes. The first one I want to talk about is the Chamois Hagar. Yes, Evil Bikes came out with this drop bar mountain bike, aggressive gravel bike. I don't know. It's like such a crazy looking bike. It is probably, in my opinion right now, the nuttiest looking bike on the market today. It isn't cheap. This thing's like $6,000, somewhere around there. It's pretty expensive. I want to share with you some of the geometry numbers here because for a drop bar bike, this thing is nutty. Right? So here we go. We're going to start with 66.67 degree head angle. That's very specific. Let's get into like the 100ths here. That's a slack head angle for a drop bar bike. I don't know if that's the slackest, but I did recently talk about the Surly Ghost Grappler. I didn't really talk about the head tube angle. I'll have to look that up. But yeah, it's super aggressive. And then we want to talk about this whole trend of going long and slack on mountain bikes, but we haven't quite seen this on drop bar bikes before. But we have in a size small, which would be like my size, a 586 millimeter effective top tube length. That's long. And then in the medium, you get to 605. That's why you see such a short stem on this bike. It is pretty wild. BB drop, holy moly, 80 millimeters of BB drop. So they want you down into the bike. They're not messing around. This is like one of those bikes you're going to be like down in between the wheels, and it's going to be super stable. I'm not quite sure what the intention for this bike is, but it is way aggressive. And chainstay length 430 millimeters. That's really short. I mean, it is a very aggressive bike. I'm trying to see if there's any numbers. Reach, this is size small, 400 millimeters. That's pretty short on the reach. Size medium, 420. So you're starting to get that kind of really close controllable factor. If you don't know about reach is more important when you're standing and riding, not so much when you're seated and riding. And then stack is 575 on the small, 594 on the medium, so pretty tall front end. So this is a very aggressive drop bar bike. Wild. And just look at the thing. Like, it just looks crazy. And yes, I have seen one in real life. A shop that I really like called Angry Catfish here in Minneapolis. They're like one of my favorite shops of all time. They have one in stock. It isn't my size. I want to say it's either a medium or a large. It's a bigger one, but it is such a cool looking bike. I looked at it, you just see it sitting there on the stand, you're just like, what is that thing? Like, it's just crazy looking. Kind of makes me wonder, like, if I was to take like my Esker Hey Duke, which is sitting right off camera here, and put drop bars on it, would I have a similar experience? That Surly Ghost Grappler, thousands of dollars less, but that really aggressive looking bike. So this category of all-road or single-track drop bar bikes, whatever you want to call them, even gravel bikes, whatever, is pretty wild. I'm super excited to see how this evolves. I've never been a huge drop bar type cyclist, road cyclist, but I do have some experience riding gravel and some experience doing cyclocross racing on a cyclocross bike. Where I lie on this whole thing is in the late 2000s, I did some of the original gravel bike races, the Almanzo 100, the Ragnarok 105. I did it on a single speed mountain bike. It's actually the bike I was talking about earlier, my On One inbred with the longer top tube, short stem, all that. I've talked about in previous videos, but that bike, I loved it. Yeah, it was kind of nuts doing 100 plus miles on single speed. It was hard. But yeah, those are my hardcore days. So more recently I've done gravel events, and I did one on my cyclocross bike, and it has a skinny tire, the 35 millimeter tire, and I even had the Gravel King tires on it, and I did not like it as much. It just was not as stable, and the bike tended to drift over, and it would roll on the top of the rocks a lot. I always was looking for that kind of worn spot in the road where the cars drive, and searching for that, and then when that wasn't available, I felt like I was kind of washing around. It was not the tire size I really liked for gravel riding. I've done last year, I did the Filthy 50 on my fat bike. Now that's going to the other extreme, right? Super stable and everything, but so much work. Like, oh, it was crazy. I mean, yeah, sure, the big tires just rolled over everything and super stable and all of that, but it was just a lot of work. And then I did the Schwamigan 40 on my Esker Hey Duke, which is off camera over here. That was pretty sweet. And if this year, I'm likely going to use that bike for some of the gravel events I'm doing. I'm going to be doing the Filthy 50 again. I'm doing the Schwamigan 40 again, things like that. So the Esker Hey Duke is probably going to be my bike of choice because I like the lighter wheel, and I do like kind of the mountain bike position. That being said, I recently rode an all-city Gorilla Monsoon at Angry Catfish, and I was very impressed with how that bike felt, being that it's more of a cyclocross geometry, shorter frame, longer stem, drop front end, you know, definitely way far away from the Chamois Hagar. I love that name. Evil. All cool. All of these names are cool. Chamois Hagar. Then we got the Ghost Grappler from Surly, right? And then All City has the Gorilla Monsoon. Where are they coming up with all these cool names? So the Gorilla Monsoon, it rode really nice. I was like, oh wow, this thing it was more impressive than I thought it was going to be for kind of how it's positioned, and definitely farther away from this aggressive geometry that you find in the Chamois Hagar. So that got me thinking. I have the State All-Road coming, and the State All-Road is definitely going to fall more in line with more like what the Gorilla Monsoon is, and we're going to see how that works out. So who knows, you know. I'll be doing a pretty thorough review on this State All-Road. The State All-Road is what a lot of people are calling a budget gravel bike or all-road bike, whatever you want to call it. I don't really like, it's a little above budget. You have to realize this is direct to consumer, so it's base price of $8.99, although it seems really cheap. If we were to put that through normal channels, you'd probably be looking at $1,200 or something like that, maybe even $1,300 if you were to like have to go through a bike shop to buy this bike. So I don't think it's super budget, but it does have State branded components. So that's going to be the one thing that's like, well, these are like not familiar to us. We're used to SRAM, we're used to Shimano, we're used to Apex is kind of a well-known brand now. So yeah, we'll see how it all works out. But when I compare that to the Gorilla Monsoon, the one thing I was really disappointed with the Gorilla Monsoon, being that it is $2,000 more than the State All-Road that I'm getting, is it was heavy. Like, I picked it up and I was like, how can this bike be so heavy? When you're paying like $3,000 for a bike, I just don't expect it to be like, it was like 28, 29 pounds, like almost 30 pounds for a drop bar bike. That just seems like crazy to me that it would be that heavy. I don't know why it's that heavy. I kind of expect that from Surly, and Surly and All City are both QBP brands, so they're under the same umbrella. Surly's always kind of known for having heavier bikes, right? I would expect that All City would probably do something to lighten up their bikes. Sure, maybe they're not going to be all carbon or aluminum or super lightweight, but at least do something to take a few pounds off, because that thing was a tank. I was just like, holy moly. I mean, maybe it's just designed to be super abused and they don't really care about the weight. But then I start going, well, when I get this state all-road, why would I pay $2,000 more? Are the components, the SRAM components or Shimano components, worth that much more money? I don't know. We're going to find out when I get the state all-road. So this category right now in the bike industry is just nuts. It's like going crazy, and I kind of like it. It's cool. I kind of hope they keep both things going though. Like the Chamois Hagar is this crazy extreme. No idea if that's going to take off. Drop bar, super aggressive hardtail, pretty much mountain bike, but it has a rigid fork, right? Over on one side, and then you have the bikes like the Gorilla Monsoon, my state all-road, and most gravel bikes kind of fall more in that category, where they're kind of growing from kind of more of the cyclocross road geometry and then putting wider tires on it and drop bars, things like that. You know, your road bikers are going to like that feel, and your mountain bikers are probably going to like the other feel. That's probably how it's going to go, but we'll see. We'll see what this all evolves to. It's a very interesting time in the gravel category, and even more lately, like my Esker Hey Duke, like the more aggressive mountain bike hardtails are pretty awesome too. I'm really liking it. I love the Esker Hey Duke. It is so sweet to ride. So there you have it. This is very interesting times indeed. Super exciting. I really appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace.